Black Lives Matter took a parade hostage, and now they're dealing with the fallout. So yeah, last month was Pride Month, and here in Canada we observed the blatant commandeering of the Pride movement by the Vancouver and Toronto chapters of Black Lives Matter. Oh, and I think it's important to mention before going forward that while many Black Lives Matter supporters claim that it is a true grassroots movement without defined leaders or individuals in general who direct it, yeah, there are leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement, they have chapters, they have a structure, but they prefer to deny it when it's convenient. Moving on. So the latest Black Lives Matter news centers around their anger at Pride Toronto not coming to the table, despite having promised to do so during the sit-in dust-up that made headlines earlier this year. Black Lives Matter Toronto is claiming that Pride has been ignoring them since Pride acquiesced to the group's demands, which were made during the 2016 Pride Parade stoppage. Well, Black Lives Matter, I've got news for you. Their agreement to your demands isn't legally enforceable. Tough shit. No, really, it's completely voidable at Pride's discretion. You see, there are 5 conditions that need to be met before a contract or agreement can be considered legally binding in Ontario's common law. First of all, there needs to be absolutely needs to be mutual consent of both parties. Come on, intersectional feminists, you have to be able to get on board with this one. Whether a party gives their consent to the agreement by mistake, while in a state of mental or physical duress, or due to dishonest or misleading practices, if any of these qualifiers are present, the aggrieved party can void the contract at their discretion. In this case, you're looking at Pride Toronto during the stoppage caused by Black Lives Matter. Since Black Lives Matter conducted a sit-in and hampered Pride's ability to continue their parade, Pride Toronto can very easily claim that they were under mental and or physical duress during dealing with their parade's inability to continue moving, which was, again, Black Lives Matter's fault. Second is the ability to keep a promise, but more specifically the mental capacity to understand and follow through on a promise. This basically just protects minors and the mentally handicapped from being held to a contract that they couldn't comprehend. And yeah, this detail is an issue with the Pride Black Lives Matter saga. Third on the list, we have what's called purpose. This part's also pretty simple. It just states that the contract needs to have specific and agreed upon goods or services being exchanged. Again, technically, we'll let your parade keep going if you do these things for us. Technically, there was at least a purpose to the contract. Fourth, but similar to the third point, and second to last, we have valuable consideration, otherwise called lawful cause in civil law. Since Ontario operates under common law, however, we need to operate on the standard of the valuable consideration. Now, what's that, you ask? Essentially, each party needs to provide something as an exchange through the contract. The market value of the goods or services being exchanged doesn't need to be equal. There just needs to be something legitimate being exchanged. In the case of the Pride versus Black Lives Matter situation, since Black Lives Matter weren't actually offering anything aside from removing the parade obstruction that they themselves were responsible for, the agreement could be nullified by Toronto Pride at their leisure on this condition alone. The fifth component of a legally binding contract doesn't even apply in all cases, but it is in the involvement of a written contract. This requirement tends to only be involved when there is a list of very serious consequences for breach of contract, or where a great deal of public scrutiny and publicity is likely. So far, as far as I know, the Black Lives Matter camp made their demands through written or at least digital media, so we can concede that point to them. So as I've laid it out here, considering that Pride Toronto could, by a reasonable individual, be seen to have been under mental and or physical duress, whereupon they agreed to the Black Lives Matter demands, and because Black Lives Matter was not providing a legitimate form of consideration by the standards of common law, the agreement to Black Lives Matter's demands by Pride Toronto is absolutely indisputably voidable at Pride Toronto's leisure. The best part about all this? The fact that Black Lives Matter has no right to even be mad about it. Any of it. Sorry, folks. If it came out that some other group had been applying pressure to Pride Toronto, that it hadn't been Black Lives Matter holding the parade hostage, then yeah, they'd be able to get upset that the contract was now voidable. But the idiots dug their own graves on this one. Sorry, Black Lives Matter. You done goofed, and you done goofed bad. Well, here we are at the end of another video, and no better off for the experience. If you managed to make it this far, I'd invite you to check out the rest of the videos on my channel, organized into topic-based playlists to make your viewing that much easier if you have a particular preference. If you've enjoyed this video, or even if you didn't, I'd encourage you to leave an up or down vote along with a comment regarding what it is you liked or disliked about the video. I'm always appreciative of constructive criticism. Oh, and if you just want to troll and shitpost, totally cool as well. And finally, in the really off chance that you'd like to be notified whenever I come out with new videos, click on that big old red subscribe button in the low bar. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.